Next we have B5 M3 market influences on business part 2, and what we will be covering, there are 3 subunits to this module: factors that influence strategy, Porter's 5 forces model, and the types of competitive strategy. Let us first discuss factors that influence strategy. We already have a look at overall macroeconomic factors in which the firm will operate. Now we will see what would be the best strategy for firm to meet its objectives. So there will be some internal factors that will affect the firm's strategy. We'll also discuss some external factors, and we will also discuss some factors that affect the competitive environment in which the firm operates. So let us discuss these first internal factors. These are the internal factors that will affect your strategies. Innovation of product lines, how innovative your product lines are, how competent the management is, what are our core competencies. Either the factors will be representing strength or weaknesses. Like core competencies are strengths. Competent management is a strength. Influence of high-level managers, if they are influential, they can get things around, they can get things done. It's a strength. Capital improvement, strength. Leadership in research and development, strength. Poor research and development is a weakness. Cohesive workforce, cohesiveness of the values of the organization, people tend to work like a family, strength. Marketing effectiveness is a strength, and if your marketing effectiveness is weaker, then it's clearly a weakness. Effective communication, clarity of the strategic mission, what exactly we want to achieve. So these are all strengths and weaknesses inherent in an organization. External factors are grouped into opportunities and threats. Let us discuss. The economy, if it is going well, good for the business, is an opportunity. Economic downturn is a threat. Regulations can be in your favor, opportunity. They can be against you, a threat. Demographic changes can be an opportunity if the target market is expected to be a larger part of the population. Otherwise, it could be a threat as well. Technological advances can be an opportunity if the competitors take on these opportunities. You are facing a threat. Social values, political issues, all these are external factors which can be opportunities and threats. Now some factors that affect the overall competitive environment in which we operate. And these are all we will discuss in the Porter 5 forces model. Barriers to market entry, how easy it is for a firm to enter in the market. If the entry barriers are good, you will be able to sustain higher level of profit, less competition. Market competitiveness. If market competitiveness is less amongst the firm, you'll make more money. Existence of substitute. No substitutes, no close substitute, good for you. Bargaining power of customers. Your customers are weak, you are stronger. Your customers are weak, you make money. And your suppliers have less power to bargain, you make money. And make it in other way, they'll all be problems for you. Barriers to entry. Anyone can enter the business, you're gone. Your profits are gone. Market is so competitive, there is cutthroat competition, you're gone. There are so many substitutes from other industries that can replace your products, you're gone. Your customers are very powerful, they can dictate their own terms, you're gone. Your suppliers are very powerful, they can dictate their terms, you're gone. So these are the 5 forces identified by Michael E. Porter. We'll discuss these in detail in our next slides. Before that, we have a good illustration here. Diverse Company DC is an international firm that produces bottles and pumps for its 3 distinct business segments, including food, healthcare, and fragrances. The following SWOT analysis was prepared by an equity analyst to further understand the factors which affect the company's business strategy. Strengths. The company has developed strong business relationship in many of its international markets, which has resulted in steadily increasing market share for its products offering. The company has been successful in implementing production efficiencies, strength, which has led to improved operating margins, good. Weaknesses. Despite its diversification, the company has significant exposure to European markets, which has been in recession. The company's net earnings are also subject to foreign exchange risk, as DC has operations in 12 countries. So you can, we don't seem to identify any weakness because strength and weaknesses are internal to an organization. So there appears to be no weakness in this weaknesses side. If the company has equipment that is getting outdated, it's a weakness. This outdated equipment is not efficient, weakness. There are significant repair cost, weakness, right? So weakness and strengths, they have to be internal, and they are the result of internal assessment. Now going on to the opportunity side now. Opportunity, there has been increased demand for personal healthcare products. This clearly appears to be an opportunity. In emerging market countries, although DC currently has limited product sales to emerging markets, management considered this is a significant opportunity to expand its global market share. Lastly, threats. While the barriers to entry in the company's product market are moderate, barriers to entry could be a threat. For DC will have to increase its already significant investment in R&D, its customer base. These additional operating costs, along with expected future compliance and regulatory costs, may erode the company's impressive operating margins. So these underlying items represent threats. So this is the internal and external assessment, and we identify various strengths and weaknesses. Remember, strengths and weaknesses are internal, and opportunities and threats, they emerge from external economic environment in which we might be operating. Next part is Porter 5 Forces model. This model given by Michael E. Porter, this model has had a significant effect on the business's strategies. Businesses use this model to assess the competitive environment and to assess how profitability would be affected by these 5 forces. So these 5 forces model is very influential, very helpful in gauging and measuring the competitiveness and long-term profitability of a particular industry. In other words, these forces will determine that whether should you enter a particular industry or should you not. This model will help you predict the long-term profitability and competitiveness in that industry. Let us discuss first rivalry amongst existing firms, existing competing firms in the industry. That is market competitiveness, intensity of competition amongst existing firms. Now, if the existing firms are in severe, stiff competition, cutthroat competition, in that case there will be less profitability. The firms will cut prices, and these price cuts will have to be followed suit by the rival firms. So this price cutting will affect every business. Every firm will be affected. Then advertisement of rival firms. Yes, if firms are in stiff competition, they will spend lots of money on advertisement. If the advertisement is high, the firms are more competitive. Research and development of rival firms. If the firms are spending lots of money on research and developments, that indicates high level of competition, high competitiveness. Alliance of rival firms and suppliers. If this is high, if there are more alliances between firms and firms have assured their sources of supply, this could be difficult for you to obtain inputs for production. And then other factors increasing competition, it could mean market is growing at a very slow rate, and since markets are growing at a slow rate, so firms will compete with each other for market share. Or there are many equal sized firms and they are fighting with each other for stealing each other's customers. Next, threat of new entrants. What we are studying Porter 5 Forces model. This model will help us assess the long-term profitability and competitiveness of a particular industry. Barriers to entry. Barriers to entry mean how easy it is for the new firms to enter. If the barriers to entry are high, that would mean the existing firm will be able to generate high profit. But if the barriers to entry are low, any competing business can enter and take your customers away. Profitability is gone. These barriers can be erected by government regulation, maybe suppliers access, maybe the initial capital requirement is so high, or maybe the existing customers are tied up with vendors, their vendors, so pre-existing customer preferences are hard to break into. Of course, customer loyalties, and existing firms have economies of scale. Through patents, trade barriers, the restrictions have been erected. If the barriers to entry are low, that would mean this is a purely competitive market. But if the barriers to entry are high, that would mean it's a monopolistic competition, oligopoly. And if it's a monopoly, it's almost impossible to enter or gain entry to this market. Next factor is threat of substitutes. Remember what we are studying, Porter 5 Forces model. This model helps us assess the long-term competitiveness and profitability of a particular industry. Threat of substitutes. If there are certain products from other industries that can become a perfect substitute for your product or service, then your profitability is gone. If that product or service is priced below your price and your customer can easily move away from you, means switching cost is low to them, then you're done. Both Chevrolet and Ford have strong market positions in the US pickup truck market. If Ford is able to lower its model price due to increased efficiencies in its production process and consumer view their pickup trucks model as comparable, there is a legitimate threat that Chevrolet could lose market share because switching costs are virtually non-existent. Next, we have the bargaining power of buyers. How strong your buyers are. If your buyers are strong, few buyers who are dominating the industry, they can dictate their terms. Buyers are in a position to bargain with us on the conditions of service, price, and quality. Profits are gone. If more information is available to the buyers, profits are gone. More buyers have more information. They can compare your product and service with others, so your competitiveness is gone. Then, switching cost. If the switching cost is low, your customers can go to someone else. And of course, at the same time, it is possible that you can poach away the customers of other firms. So switching cost is also one of the determinants of bargaining power of your buyers. Number of alternative suppliers. When A seller, B seller, C, D, there are so many sellers, many suppliers exist in the market, then customer can go anywhere. So in that case, bargaining power of the buyers also increases when there are more customers, more suppliers available from whom the customers can purchase. Next, we have the bargaining power of suppliers. If suppliers are strong, they can dictate their terms, your profitability is gone. You're unable to change your supplier. Let's say you are a computer manufacturer, Acer, IBM, Compaq, and you purchase your microprocessor from Intel. You cannot change your vendor. If you do, if you move away from Intel, you may have to reconstruct your motherboard. You may have to change your complete computer circuitry, and that could involve millions, if not billions of dollars. So if you are unable to change your suppliers will be very strong like Intel. And reputation of suppliers and demand for its goods. Of course, Intel is the monopoly in the microprocessor business. They are very reputed, well-known, most powerful entity, so they are the one who will dictate their terms. And next, we have the types of competitive strategies. Types of competitive strategies. Again, Michael E. Porter comes to your assistance. He said, if you want to make tons of money, follow the cost leadership strategy where you will be able to produce at the lowest cost, sell a lot of volume and make a lot of money. Or you can make a differentiated product, specially designed, which is much distinct than the competing products. You can sell at a higher price and make a tons of money. So be a cost leader, sell a lot of volume, and this large volume will get you lots of profit. Or make a differentiated product, sell at a premium price, and make a lot of money for yourself. Competitive advantage in general is determined by the value the firm offers to its customers minus the cost of creating that value. That's what you call the competitive advantage. First, the cost leadership advantage. Cost leadership advantage is that you are able to produce at low cost, you have achieved the economies of scale, and hence you can offer the product at a very low price. Or next is the differentiation advantage. We'll discuss it later. First, the cost leadership advantage means you are able to produce at the lowest cost, less than your rivals. So if you sell your product at the lower cost, you can sell a lot of volume, thereby can generate a significant benefit for yourself. So this advantage may be used by the firms in one of the two ways. First, build the market share. Keep your selling price less than the competing businesses, so you will be able to sell more, you make more money. Or you can match the price of your rivals, keep the selling price as close as to your competitors, but not more. In this case, you will be able to make profit because the difference between your cost and your selling price will be higher than the competing businesses. Then we have the next differentiation advantage strategy. Differentiation advantage, also called the offering advantage. Many businesses can offer products to their customers which are different than the others. So this differentiation can help the businesses to charge higher prices. So customer perceive your product to be better than others, so they are willing to pay a higher price. So again, you would have two ways. But remember, this differentiation has caused you a lot of cost, so you need to recover your cost. You need to recover your or recoup your cost in order to become profitable. So you can do it in two ways. This advantage may be used in the firm by the two ways: build the market share, that is, keep your pricing low so that you can recoup your initial investment slowly, or increase your price because customers will be willing to pay a high price for your product. 5 basic types of competitive strategies, namely, first, the cost leadership strategy could be having a broad scope, or it could have a narrow scope. So having a broad scope means you have a broad range of buyers, lots of buyers at a national scale. Then you have either the cost strategy to follow, become the lowest cost producer, that is called the cost leadership, or offer differentiated product to a broad range of buyers. And if you follow a narrow approach or the narrow range of customers, niche markets, again you will have the cost focus or the focused differentiation, focused product differentiation. Right, so there are 4 strategies written above. The 5th is the combination of the above. Right, so competitive advantage could be for broad range of customers. That would result in cost leadership or differentiation at a national and international scale. Broad range of buyers. When the market is narrow range of buyers, so the focus would be cost focus or the focus differentiation. And the 5th competitive strategy would be any combination of the above. Cost leadership strategies means you keep your selling price low and sell a lot of volume. So leaders undermine the profitability of their competitors as they sell at the lowest price. So you can sell at low price and large volume. This will generate a lot of profit for you. So when the strategy works, that the item you sell is inferior, it is inexpensive, so you can sell at low cost, and when the switching cost of customer is low, so in that case this strategy would work. By price cutting, you can increase your customer base and sell to a lot. When this cost leadership strategy would fail, when the focus is too much on cutting costs, it might overlook the technological advances, and this fact alone is sufficient to wind your business up. There's an example here. Toys Only Company is an online toy retailer that sells toys to mass customers. In order to increase its market share and to compete with the brick and mortar stores, the company's strategy has been focused on offering a complete line of toys at the lowest prices. This cost leadership strategy has been successful for Toys Only, given that it sells commodity-like products to general US toy retail market. So when the product is inferior or it's inexpensive, then the cost strategy can work. Next, differentiation strategy. Differentiation strategy means you at least have created a perception in the minds of your customer that your product is unique, it's differentiated. So they are willing to pay a premium price for your product. So a superior expensive item, people are going to pay price to you. So it will work well when the product is viewed to be superior. It's expensive, like Bosch automobiles. And when it fails, when your cost of producing such a good or service is more than the benefits, so you're doomed. Focus is too much on quality and you have given up your profits. Quality Bathrooms Incorporated sells high-end bathtubs and accessories to regional markets. Because the company offers unique features, designs, materials, its bathtubs sell at a premium price. This strategy has been successful for the company given its ability to clearly offer value-added products at higher prices to retail customer market. That's why it's been successful. But when the cost is more than the selling price, you're gone. The best cost strategy. It combines the cost leadership strategy with the differentiation strategy. When it works well, it will work well for generic products that are not acceptable to the varied needs and preferences of the buyer. But the buyers are still sensitive to the value that they are receiving for the money they are spending. So in this case, it will work well. When it will fail when you are unable to keep a balance between providing your customer with quality product and keeping your cost low. It's a very delicate balance. If you're unable to keep the balance, you are doomed. Walmart Stores Incorporated is a mass merchandiser that uses a best cost strategy to increase its market share because of sheer economies of scale. Purchasing economies of scale, they can purchase at low cost, distribution economy of scale, risk-bearing economy of scale, financial economy of scale, technical economy of scale, merchandising at the lowest cost, financial economy of scale. The company is able to offer the lowest prices on its vast product lines, which include many name brands as well as its own generic brands. Walmart's business strategy continues to be focused on offering customers superior products at the overall lowest prices. Focus niche strategies. You are focusing only a small group of customers or a very small niche. It can work well, sometimes it will fail. When it will work well, when the niche is large enough to recover your cost, it will fail when the firm is not able to change its offering demanded by the customers. The firm remains less responsive, it fails. All-Star Baseball Gloves Incorporated makes premium baseball gloves for the collegiate professional niche market, which includes collegiate baseballs, minor league baseballs, and major league teams. The company has been successful because it uses the highest quality leather material and includes special features in each of the players' position baseball gloves. It manufactures and sells to the collegiate professional niche market, charging higher price. If you become less responsive to the needs of the customers, you are gone. So is this module.